I warned my best friend her boyfriend was lying. She laughed, called me jealous, then blocked me for 4 years. Yesterday she showed up at my door sobbing, "I need proof for the court." "Please, you were right." I just sipped my tea and closed the door. He dragged her by the wrist out of our office lobby in front of a dozen clients. Brent, her boyfriend, in a tailored suit, sunglasses inside, like the villain in a low-budget thriller. She was screaming something about her phone. He didn't care. Walked her out like he owned the building. I still remember how my manager just stood there frozen, holding a sandwich. We all watched it happen. None of us moved. No one knew if it was a domestic thing or a publicity stunt or whatever. But that's how it started. 2 months later, our company, our small boutique design firm built on 10 years of sweat and heartbreak, was in pieces. Lawsuits. Client poaching. Half the staff gone. Brent had infiltrated, poisoned, and cracked us open from the inside. And Kayla let him in. Let me rewind. Kayla and I used to be inseparable. I'm talking sleep in each other's bed-level friends. We started the company together with 2 others, Tina and Mark. We were nobodies. A shared laptop, 2 IKEA desks, and a whole lot of hope. We built something. Slowly. Carefully. Kayla had the charisma. I had the spreadsheets. Tina had the fire, and Mark was our glue. Then came Brent. He walked into a networking mixer like a smoke bomb. Too polished. Too funny. Too perfect. Said all the right things. Flirted with Kayla in a way that felt clinical, like he already knew the outcome. She ate it up. I didn't like him. Neither did Tina. But we kept it to ourselves. I did some quiet digging. Not a lot. Just enough to find red flags. The guy had bounced through 6 consulting firms in 5 years. 3 lawsuits, all settled quietly. Social media wiped clean. Former coworkers who only replied with no comment. I showed Kayla everything. She laughed. Said I was jealous. Bitter. Maybe if you spent more time dating and less time stalking people, you'd know what a healthy relationship looks like. Then she blocked me. No call. No fight. Just cold silence. She told Mark and Tina I'd had a breakdown. That I was trying to sabotage her happiness. That she was taking space. Weeks passed. Brent started coming around more. Offering advice to Mark. Whispering about expansion, about targeting bigger clients. He showed up at a pitch meeting one morning like he worked there. No one invited him. Mark said he had ideas. That we should hear him out. Kayla smiled like it was already decided. Tina walked out 3 days later. I should have followed. But I stayed. For Mark. For the team we'd built. For some dumb, hopeful part of me that thought maybe I was wrong. I wasn't. Brent leveraged Kayla's shares to push me out of key decisions. Hired his former colleagues to take over our financials. They locked me out of back-end tools. I was reduced to a glorified admin in the company I helped build. Then came the bleeding. Clients started leaving. Projects dried up. Whispers started about restructuring, about poor management, about me. That's when I left. Took what I could. Cleared my inbox. Boxed up my plants. Mark texted me 3 days later. Just 2 words, he's poison. I kept friendships with 2 of Brent's people. Not because I liked them, but because they were real. Grounded. I could tell they were trapped too. One of them, Nico, told me in hushed tones that Brent had staged 3 firings just to assert dominance. Another, Jules, confided that Kayla cried in the bathroom more than she worked. That Brent had her on some kind of performance plan for her own company. I wanted to help. I did. But she'd burned that bridge. Then yesterday. Doorbell rings. I open it. Kayla. 4 years later. Sobbing. Makeup ruined. Shoulders hunched like a kicked dog. I need help, she choked. Please. I need proof. He's taking me to court. He's saying I was never a real partner. That I was unstable. That I'm dangerous. I need anything. Please. She looked smaller. Not just in body. In spirit. I didn't say a word. Just held my tea, steaming quiet. Then I shut the door. Not fast. Not angry. Just clean. And I went back to my desk. Because you don't warn someone about fire, watch them light the match, and then run in to save them when they act surprised it burns. Update 1. We met in 3rd grade because she tripped over my backpack and bled on my math homework. Kayla always had bad luck with gravity. Always moved too fast, talked too loud, smiled like she had a secret even when we both knew she didn't. By middle school, she was the reason I didn't eat lunch alone. By high school, we were finishing each other's excuses. She lied to her parents so I could stay over when mine were drunk. I wrote her college essay because she couldn't sit still long enough to finish a paragraph. We weren't friends. We were grafted. So when I told her Brent was lying, actually lying, not just sketchy vibes lying, I thought it would matter. I had proof. I knew the woman. I'd seen the receipts. I even confronted him once, cornered him at that little wine bar on 8th. He laughed. Told me Kayla liked a little drama, that it kept her interesting. I still hear that laugh when I can't sleep. She blocked me the next morning. Said I was obsessed. That I'd always hated seeing her happy. That maybe I should try therapy instead of snooping around like a bitter ex. But the real kick? She told Mark and Jules I'd been in love with her for years. That this was all some pathetic revenge arc because she chose a man over me. I didn't respond. I packed my desk. Left her a note in her drawer. You win. But you're not safe. She never replied. The thing about Brent? He cheats like he breathes. I know of at least 4 women he was seeing during year 2 of their relationship, including one that worked at the same company he was supposedly consulting for. They'd take lunch breaks together and spend half the afternoon in his SUV. I saw it. Twice. Took photos the second time, just in case. I kept all of it. Buried in a folder labeled algae. Long forgotten. Until yesterday, when she stood on my porch and said he's trying to take everything. Even my name on the company. He says I'm mentally unstable. That I was never legally entitled to anything. She said it like she didn't believe it could be happening. But I did. Because it was always going to end this way. She just chose not to read the signs. I haven't shown her the evidence yet. I don't know if I will. I talked to Jules and Nico last night. They said Brent's circling. He's building a narrative. She's spiraling. And I'm the only one who knows where the bodies are buried. But part of me wonders if she'd just use it to survive, then go right back to pretending I never existed. Just like before. Edit 1. No, I wasn't in love with her. I loved her. The way you love someone you grew up next to. But that story in her head? The one where I'm some obsessed backup plan? That was never mine. Edit 2. I still have the wine bar receipt. The one Brent paid for when he took his assistant to dinner and wrote it off as client development. Date stamped. Time logged. I've got a whole folder. Maybe it's time she sees it. Or maybe the court should. Update 2. First, thank you. Seriously. I didn't expect the story to resonate the way it has. I thought maybe a few people would nod, maybe 1 or 2 would tell me I did the right thing. Instead, I got dozens of messages, DMs, paragraphs from strangers dissecting what happened. Some of you shared stories eerily similar to mine. Others called me out hard, but with clarity I didn't know I needed. And after reading it all, I realized something simple and ugly. She wasn't just stupid. She was manipulated. I spent 4 years blaming Kayla for Brent's sins. Watching her throw away friendships, let him steamroll the company, parrot his little phrases like she believed they were her own thoughts. But that's the thing about charismatic abusers, they don't just control people. They convert them. He took everything soft in her, every impulsive, hopeful, desperate for approval part, and weaponized it. I still remember how she used to beg for praise from teachers, how she'd get this wild, breathless energy when she felt accepted, seen, loved. It's the same energy Brent saw and latched onto. He didn't love her. He fed off her. And I think, deep down, I always knew that. So yeah, thanks to your answers I realized that she is not to blame for being manipulated. And I'm going to try. Not to forgive. Not immediately. But to reach. To see if there's something left under the wreckage that can be rebuilt. I sent her a message this morning. Just 5 words. I still have the file. 2 hours later, she responded. Please meet me. Anywhere. I'll come to you. We met in the parking lot of the place where we signed our first business lease. The building's empty now. For lease sign cracked in half. We stood by the dumpsters where we used to joke about being 2 steps from broke. She looked worse than last time. Eyes sunken. Her nails were chipped, which I know sounds like nothing, but Kayla used to treat manicures like religion. She always said if your hands look put together, they can't tell your brain's falling apart. She didn't speak at first. Just looked at me. Like she was trying to figure out if I was real. Then she said, I was scared. But not of him. Not at first. I was scared of how much I needed him to believe I was valuable. And how much I was willing to sacrifice to prove I could keep someone like that. I didn't say anything. Just handed her a flash drive. She took it like it might burn her hand. We sat on the curb like we were 17 again. Sneaking cheap fast food behind the venue of a failed fundraiser. She told me everything. How Brent used praise and shame like currency. How he love-bombed her early, then slowly made her believe she was useless without him. How every time she questioned him, he'd twist it into a joke about her jealous ex-friend. How he told her I was spreading rumors, that I wanted to see her fail, that everyone would leave her if she didn't shape up. She believed it, and when she didn't believe it, she chose to pretend, because the alternative was admitting she was wrong about everything. Then she told me the part that broke me. He made me sign over my shares, said it was for legal clarity. That we'd always be a team, even if the paperwork didn't show it. She signed. Of course she did. Because Kayla trusts hard. That's why she survived childhood. Why we made it out of that shitty school district. Why she clung to me. And why she let go. I asked her what she wanted now. She said, I want him to pay, but I want to heal more. We didn't hug. It wasn't that kind of reunion. We're not there yet. But when she walked away, she looked taller. Later that night, I got a message from Nico. He said Brent's office has gone full bunker mode. Staff turnover. HR complaints. 2 clients pulled out citing unprofessional internal dynamics. Apparently someone forwarded them screenshots from the flash drive. Not me, but I'm guessing it won't stop with 1 copy. Mark reached out too. Said he's sorry. That he should have spoken up. That if we ever rebuild, he wants in. I haven't answered yet. I'm still sitting with all of it. But here's what I know. Brent built his little empire on charm and fear. Charm crumbles fast. Fear leaks. And I still have more than 1 folder. Kayla and I aren't friends again. Not yet. Maybe not ever in the way we were, but we're something. Allies in aftermath. Survivors of the same cult. And sometimes, that's how healing starts. Edit 1. For those asking if I'm worried about retaliation. Nah. Brent's paper thin. If he tries anything, I've got enough to ruin his career twice. And I'm not the one hiding anymore. Edit 2. She sent me a photo this morning. Plant. My old office fern, somehow still alive. Caption said, even things left in the dark find a way. Maybe we do too. Update 3. It seems surreal to type this just days after update 2. But, buckle up. The night after we met at the empty lot, Kayla and I didn't text. Nothing. I thought that was normal. Complicated situations deserve silence. Sometimes. We'd said enough. But then at 10 p.m., my phone buzzed. Want to grab coffee tomorrow? I think I owe you a real thank you. Kayla. That text felt like a klaxon to the skull. It wasn't friendship talk. Not yet. It was acknowledgement. And that, to me, might have been the hardest thing she's ever said. I owe you. 1. The coffee shop. We met at that hole-in-the-wall place on 5th we used to camp for 3-hour planning sessions. Same chip table. Same creaky chairs. I showed her the broken mug from when we shared buttered croissants after a client pitch, when we thought we'd won our first big job. She looked sad when she saw the mug. There was no hours left, but the evidence was in my hands, unspoken. She ordered a decaf latte. I got black. We sat in silence while the barista steamed milk like she'd just asked for an eternity. The smell was a punch of nostalgia. Then Kayla spoke. I keep replaying your note. You win, but you're not safe. I thought you hated me. Her voice cracked. She looked down, wrapped her hands around her cup. When I think back, I wasn't just in love with Brent. I was afraid to be without him, to be wrong, to be alone. She paused, took a breath, looked at me again. I know I hurt you, and Mark and Tina, and the company. I wish I could go back and say no, but I didn't believe there was a no. 2. The confession. She stayed honest. Brutally. She told me how Brent used to brag about our business like it was his. Stories about how my girlfriend brought me into that startup. As though she was an accessory, not a co-founder. How he gaslit her when she argued that he was overstepping, made her question her memory. He'd say, "It's so funny how you dramatize everything. You always exaggerate. Remember when you locked yourself in the bathroom 2 a.m.? I had to come break the door down." How he had a spreadsheet of kudos and fails for Kayla's performance, behavioral counts, as though he was HR but worse. She thought she was failing until her breakdown last year. In the waning light of the coffee shop, I saw her shrink then expand, like a flower folding in rain, then bending upward at dawn. 3. Rising threat. But redemption isn't linear. Later that day, text from Jules. He's moving fast. Just asked HR to open a formal review of Kayla last night. He wants to show up in court with internal memos. Be ready. And then from Nico. Guys are getting nervous. Some are organizing. We found an old Slack channel full of notes Brent gave. We told someone in operations. You might see an email chain drop soon. Brent wasn't laying low. He was striking. He cornered Kayla again. Called her late. Told her the flash drive info was stolen. That this was felony. That she could go to prison for breaking NDAs. He said he'd quietly agree to let her keep custody of the house if she walked away quietly. Otherwise, no deal. She broke down on the phone. Scary siege of trauma. I heard it. I called her immediately. He's bluffing. We'll prove he manipulated everything. The memos, the kudos sheet, the Slack notes, they're all data points. She said, I'm scared though. I thought giving him space was enough. I told her, sometimes the monster doesn't leave when you step away. 4. The decision. She made one. Go on offense. And fast. She asked me to join an emergency meeting tomorrow morning with her lawyer, her sister, and a trusted mediating HR rep from the old company. One room, she said, asterisk, let him make his case. Let us respond with truth. She didn't ask for me. But as we closed our phones, we both knew. She wanted me there. 5. My part. After we left the coffee shop, I went home and cracked open the file. There were more things than I remembered. Brent emailing our CFO about discipline tactics from Kayla's calendar to board member cancellations. Sales call transcripts with Brent coaching Kayla. Lines like, feminine but firm, but not too emotional. Show vulnerability to show she can be managed. A testimonial script Brent drafted for Tina's wedding meant to demean Kayla under the guise of compliment. It was cruel. It still hurts. Text threads where Brent coached Kayla to gaslight me to keep her friends off balance, then secretly celebrated when they fell away. A Snapchat story he saved, a screenshot Kayla on stage at a trade show. Brent next to her, smiling. Caption, my partner telling my story. She was speaking for herself. He was speaking for her. And the clincher, a contract drafted the day after she signed over shares, blank director writes. Bearing her signature. It had timeline attached. It's obvious. I printed it all. Organized everything into categories: gaslighting, financial teddy, corporate domination, emotional blackmail, legal traps, public image control, and collateral damage. 10 pages per section. Each with date, tagline, file number. It looked monstrous. Like the body of evidence in a serial abuser case. 6. The meeting. Tomorrow morning. Braces on. Professionally anxious. Files in leather folder. I can't describe the electric current in my chest right now. I'm bracing. Hearing rustling opinions. Ribcage buzzing with adrenaline. But here's the thing. Even after the evidence, we're rebuilding something. 7. What this means. She didn't just need evidence in court. She needed a witness. Not just a pile of receipts. Not just lawyers and judges and flash drives. She needed me. And I'm going. Present. Strong. Curious. Protective. Angry where it's needed. You asked how this could turn into something real again. This is exactly it. It's not a hug in the parking lot anymore. It's standing shoulder to shoulder in a room, looking a man we both once trusted in the eye. Letting no phrase go unanswered. This is the point of no quiet. This is where we answer the bigger question. Who are we, apart from him? 8. What's next? I'll stay in the room with my phone off. If he tries intimidation, we'll pause and get the lawyer. If he brings nonsense, we'll counter with documents. If he tries to paint Kayla as unstable again, well, I have receipts for that too. If we survive this room together, maybe we survive together outside it. 9. What I'm feeling. Anxiety. Rage. Shame. Strength. We're rekindling something. But it's not friendship. It's a partnership forged in trauma. But trauma doesn't make people unfixable. Trauma might construct resilience. We lived 4 years apart. We lost teams and trust and balance. But maybe we can build something better. Something real. 10. Reflection. You all asked me if this journey could feel hopeful. It can. But hope isn't warm. Not yet. Right now it's sharp-wired and buzzing. It's expectation with trembling hands. Hope respects what's broken but breaks again, strategizes, tries. That's where we're going now. Edit 1. Several of you asked, is he showing up? Lawyers say he might. If he does, I'm in. Defense ready. Prep lines mapped. I've trained for this moment even if I didn't know it at the time. Edit 2. Jules asked if I'd be okay sharing some of this publicly after the meeting. I said yes. There might be court documents ahead. If so, I'll post an edited version, no lucidity trapping, just proof of truth. So here we are. Tomorrow morning. She reaches for my arm at the door and I'll reach right back. Not forgiveness. Not forgetting. But partnership. And after days of reading your words telling me she didn't deserve this alone, she didn't deserve isolation, I realized something. Maybe neither did I. Thanks for lifting us up. Update 4. The meeting was yesterday. I barely slept the night before. You'd think I'd be pacing, rehearsing speeches in my head, lining up exhibits like a courtroom drama, but no. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling fan, arms folded like a corpse. My mind was blank. Not numb. Just still. Kayla texted me at 6:41 a.m. I'm scared. But I'm coming. I didn't reply. Sometimes the best support is showing up. No pep talk. No promises. Just presence. 1. The setup. We met at a mid-tier law office in a nondescript office park. Glass lobby, potted plants, receptionist who looked like she was actively dissociating from life. Kayla's lawyer, Miriam, was early. Steel voice, lavender blouse, thick file folder labeled Document 40B, opposing claims. You know that type. Someone who sued someone else before breakfast. Brent wasn't there yet. I asked if this was normal. Miriam smirked. People like him love late entrances. Makes them feel cinematic. She was right. At 9:05 a.m. he arrived. Button-down shirt. Aviators. Holding a Red Bull. He walked in like this was his company, his people, his courtroom. No attorney. No assistant. Just his voice and his smile, smarmy as the day I first met him. He didn't acknowledge me. Didn't need to. Just looked at Kayla and said, "You look stressed. This really necessary?" She didn't blink. Yes. 2. The offer. He started with charm. A proposal. A settlement. A classic trap. He'd graciously allow her to retain 5% equity, non-voting, of course. He'd waive any court fees or defamation claims if she signed a gag order and deleted her recent posts. Said he'd let her keep the name, meaning her own damn name on the damn company. It wasn't even subtle. Miriam slid a single page across the table. Here's our counter. It was the full timeline of Brent's abuse. Emotional manipulation logs. Slack archives showing him assigning Kayla emotional containment tasks where she was expected to calm down employees he harassed. Emails to investors where he exaggerated Kayla's emotional instability just days before he filed for control. Surveillance timestamps from the office. Her car, parked 14-hour days. His? 2-hour pop-ins. Yet he claimed executive presence. Brent's face changed. Slightly. You had to watch closely. The smile twitched. Then he leaned back. So we're doing this. 3. My turn. He turned to me. I always wondered why you stuck around. Didn't think you had the spine for conflict. I didn't flinch. I just pulled out my folder. Dropped the printout with the contract. The one showing Kayla's signature transferred rights without legal witness. Then a photo of Brent at that bar with his assistant. Timestamped. Then a Slack message. Brent, if we squeeze her out now, she won't fight. She's too attached to the identity. He laughed. Is this supposed to impress anyone? I looked at Miriam. She said, that one's going to HR. Today. 4. The breakdown. Kayla didn't speak for most of the meeting. But after the 4th document dropped, she did. And I'll never forget it. You ruined my friendships. You convinced me I was unstable. You took my dreams, made them your mask. And now you want me quiet. Her voice didn't shake. I'm not scared of you anymore. She pushed a stack of legal documents toward him. Restraining order. Civil complaint. Petition to dissolve remaining shared entities. Brent stared at it like it was a joke. But no one laughed. 5. Fallout. After he left, stormed out. Actually, Miriam turned to us. That went well. Kayla just sat there. Silent. Pale. But alive. It took her 23 minutes to stand up. We didn't speak in the elevator. She finally said, I don't know who I am without him. And I said, someone better. Someone real. 6. The surprise. We left the building and found Mark leaning against a car. He didn't say a word. Just nodded, pulled out a manila envelope. I found something, he said. Inside. A USB stick. 3 voice recordings. 1 legal memo from Brent's prior lawsuit filed under a shell name but with copy-paste errors that revealed everything. Miriam took one look and said, this changes the timeline. And the stakes. 7. What comes next? The recordings are damning. Brent admitting he manipulated performance reviews. Laughing about how if you make the woman look emotional, no one checks the facts. It's going to court. Not just for business theft, but character assassination, gaslighting, corporate abuse. Kayla's name is going to be cleared. Not just legally, publicly. And I'll be in the front row. 8. Between us. After the meeting, we didn't hug. We didn't cry. But we sat in the car for almost an hour listening to music we used to design logos to. She said, it feels like I've been underwater for 4 years. And I'm finally breathing. I told her, you never stopped being worth saving. 9. Final thoughts for now. Kayla and I are not best friends again. But we are something real. Quiet. Tentative. Reborn. We walked through fire. And maybe we walked back toward each other not because we had to, but because we were the only ones who remembered where it started. Edit 1. Court is in 3 weeks. I'll be subpoenaed. I'm ready. And this time, I want the world to hear it. Edit 2. Kayla just sent me a voice memo. I couldn't have done this alone. Thank you for coming back. I saved it. Might be the most honest thing either of us has ever said. Final update. I wasn't ready for how quiet the courtroom was. TV teaches you it'll be dramatic, explosions of objection, sobs, gasps, mic drop testimony. But this was sterile. Clinical. Beige walls, a judge who looked like she hated everyone equally, and the low whir of an old ventilation system you couldn't unhear once it was pointed out. Brent sat across from us in a sharp navy suit. He brought a new lawyer. The kind with white cuffs and a smug mouth. Didn't matter. What they lacked was ammunition. Because we had all the bullets, date-stamped, paper-clipped, audio-pierced. 1. The testimony. Kayla went first. Miriam had prepped her for weeks. We'd practiced cross-questions like training for a fight. But once she was up there, it didn't matter how much we rehearsed. Her voice cracked 3 sentences in. Her hands shook. But she didn't stop. She walked them through 4 years of psychological erosion. How Brent started small, teasing her weight, her phrasing, her bad instincts. How she began seeking his approval over clients, over her own friends. How he isolated her, suggested we were all secretly laughing at her. How he rewrote the company's narrative 1 meeting at a time, subtly, softly, like acid on paper. Then she dropped the receipts. Audio files. Emails. The spreadsheet labeled disruption management, his code name for firing staff who didn't comply. By the time she sat down, the room was ice. Brent didn't look at her once. 2. My turn. Then it was me. I wasn't ready. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because it really hit me what this all had cost. Friendships. Years. Silence. Watching someone you love drown, arms folded behind your back because they told you they chose the tide. I told them everything. How I confronted Brent early on. How he spun it into a story of obsession, me, the jealous friend. How he used my trust in Kayla as a weapon to prove her loyalty. How I stepped back not because I stopped caring, but because I thought maybe I'd already lost her. I handed over my folder. Every log. Every note. Every time-stamped betrayal. When I finished, the judge actually looked at me for the first time. That was all I needed. 3. Brent crumbles. Brent didn't testify. His lawyer made a few motions. Tried to discredit our emotional narratives. Claimed the audio was edited, that the emails were taken out of context. Then Miriam pulled out the voice files from Mark. Brent. On speaker. Laughing. You can break someone down if you just keep the audience on your side. That's the trick. Isolation first. Then control. Then rewrite. Silence. You could feel it. Like the temperature dropped. Even the bailiff stopped pretending to scroll. Brent didn't laugh then. He shifted. Sweated. adjusted his collar like it was choking him. The judge nodded. I've heard enough. 4. The verdict. 2 weeks later, the ruling was unanimous. Kayla reinstated as 50% founder. Brent removed from all decision-making roles, pending review. Public statement to be issued by the company acknowledging mismanagement and coercive practices. Restraining order? Approved. Gag order? Denied. Brent tried to settle out after that. He called Miriam's office 5 times. Sent Kayla 2 emails. She didn't read them. Instead, she forwarded them to legal. 5. What came after? Mark and Jules came back. So did Nico. We didn't rebuild the company. We closed it. Quietly. Elegantly. With dignity. No rebrand. No second launch. We let it die because what we built was never the problem, what happened to it was. Kayla took time off. Moved cities. Took a job doing UX design for a nonprofit that builds trauma support platforms. She says it's the first time she's worked somewhere that didn't need her to shapeshift. I took a client-facing job. Quiet. Low-key. I bike to work. I have a dog now. We talk weekly. Not like before. No all-nighters. No ride or die slogans. Just 2 people who went through fire and came out scarred, smarter, cleaner. 6. The final ask. Last month, she asked if I wanted to co-author a paper. Not a business article. A psychological case study, gaslighting and creative co-founder dynamics. She's working with a researcher. Said it could help people avoid what she went through. I said yes. 7. Reflection. You want a happy ending? You won't find one here. There are no fairy tale bows. No full-circle reunions. We lost too much for that. But we found something else. Truth. Power. Proof that even when someone rewrites your story, you can still reclaim the pen. 8. Final notes. Brent? Last I heard, he tried launching a crypto startup. It failed. One of the women he once mentored is suing him now. She found Kayla through a LinkedIn article about surviving founder betrayal. They talk. Share stories. Build networks. His name is rotting in whispers. Good. 9. Us. I saw Kayla last week. She was wearing the same jacket she had when we first pitched to investors, scuffed elbow, torn cuff, pocket full of receipts. She said, I kept it to remind myself what I looked like when I still believed I deserved more. I didn't say anything. Just smiled. Because she does. Now she knows it. Edit 1. This is the last time I'll write about this. Thank you to everyone who commented, challenged, pushed, cried, screamed with me. You reminded me we are not alone. Not anymore. Edit 2. Kayla's final message to me last night. We're not broken. Just edited. And this draft's stronger. Yeah, it is.